Have you been feeling that shift lately? That strange pull in your chest, like someone who once walked away is suddenly thinking about you again? There's a reason you clicked on this. There's a reason your intuition has been whispering that something isn't finished here. Today's message carries a strong emotional charge, and I need you to hear this clearly before we go any further. Only take what resonates with you and leave the rest. Not every detail will fit every situation, but if your heart starts beating a little faster as I speak, then you'll know this is meant for you. The energy around this connection feels unfinished. It feels like something that was intense, meaningful, maybe even transformative, and then suddenly disrupted. The title itself says everything. They sabotaged this. Not you, not destiny, not timing. They did. But what's fascinating is that the story didn't end there. Because now the energy is circling back. Now there's longing. Now there's realization. The first card that revealed itself is the Five of Swords. This is conflict, ego, winning at the cost of losing something far more important. I'm sensing harsh words, misunderstandings, or a power struggle where pride took over vulnerability. This person may have chosen distance instead of communication. They may have convinced themselves that walking away was strength. But this card tells me it was a hollow victory. They walked away thinking they were protecting themselves. And now they're sitting with the silence that followed. Next comes the Knight of Cups. And this changes everything. Because beneath that ego, beneath that impulsive behavior, there's a heart that feels deeply. This is someone who romanticizes what they lost. Someone who replays memories. Someone who didn't expect to miss you this much. The emotions they tried to bury are rising back up. The more time passes, the clearer it becomes to them that what they felt for you was real. The Ten of Wands shows the weight they're carrying now. Regret can be heavy. Guilt can be exhausting. This person is overwhelmed by the consequences of their own actions. They might not admit it openly, but internally they are struggling. There's a pressure building inside them, a realization that they may have thrown away something rare. Then I see the Two of Swords. Avoidance. Denial. They tried not to think about it. They distracted themselves. They pretended it didn't hurt. But blocking emotions doesn't erase them. It only delays the moment you have to face them. And that moment feels very close now. The Ace of Cups appears with a soft but powerful energy. This is emotional renewal, a chance for something pure to be offered again. It doesn't erase the past, but it speaks of a heart that wants to come forward differently this time. There's sincerity here. There's vulnerability trying to break through. And finally, the Page of Pentacles. This tells me they won't come rushing in dramatically. They'll start small, careful, testing the waters. But behind that small gesture is a much bigger intention. They want to fix what they broke. They want to rebuild what they sabotaged. The energy is undeniable. Something shifted inside them. And whether you choose to open that door again or not, they are feeling the pull back toward you. Now we're going to pull this all the way open because the energy around this connection is not light and it's not random. It has that feeling of something that mattered, something that could have grown into more. And then something happened that cut it short. And the part that keeps echoing in the cards is this. It wasn't fate that ruined it. It wasn't distance. It wasn't timing. It was sabotage. It was someone getting scared of what they were feeling, and instead of holding it with care, they reacted in a way that damaged the bond. When the Five of Swords came through in the intro, it was the first sign that the ending was messy. This card doesn't usually show a peaceful closing chapter. It shows ego, defense, needing to win, needing to have control, saying the sharp thing, doing the cold thing, walking away as if that proves strength. And I'm sensing that in your situation, their behavior was confusing. One moment the energy was warm, the connection felt like it was becoming real. And then the next moment it was like they turned into someone else. For some of you, it felt like they were testing you. For others, it felt like they were punishing you. And for many of you, it felt like they created a problem that didn't even have to exist. That is what sabotage often looks like. It looks like someone ruining a good thing because they don't know how to handle what it means to actually have it. There's also a feeling here that they tried to protect themselves from being seen too deeply. The more you saw them, the more vulnerable they felt. And instead of letting love soften them, they chose armor. The Five of Swords tells me they either created conflict, picked at something small, blew something out of proportion, or chose silence as a weapon. And you may have walked away feeling like you were the only one trying to keep it alive. But what the cards show is that their behavior came from fear, not from a lack of feelings. That's where the Knight of Cups becomes extremely important, because this card reveals the heart behind the chaos. It shows someone who feels deeply, someone who can be romantic, someone who is emotionally driven. But it also shows someone who can be inconsistent when emotions become too intense. I feel like they wanted you, but they were afraid of the power you had over their emotions. They may not have been prepared for how quickly they started to care. They may not have expected you to matter the way you do. And it's almost like they tried to prove to themselves that they were fine without you, that they were in control, that they could leave and not feel anything. But that illusion didn't last, because the emotional pull didn't disappear. It grew. And I'm seeing clearly that after the separation, they went into a phase where they tried to push it down. And that's where the Two of Swords comes in. This is emotional avoidance. This is denial. This is someone saying, I'm fine, while their heart is not fine at all. This is someone distracting themselves, refusing to face the truth, refusing to admit that they created their own loss. For some of you, they may have acted cold because they were trying not to crack. For others, they might have acted busy, unreachable, or emotionally unavailable. But the Two of Swords always reveals the same thing. There is a truth they are afraid to look at, because once they look at it, they can't unsee it. And that truth is you mattered. You still matter. The Ten of Wands shows what happens when someone refuses to deal with the truth. It turns into weight. It turns into pressure. It turns into emotional exhaustion. This card tells me they are carrying regret. They are carrying the heaviness of knowing they made the wrong decision, or at least handled it in the wrong way. Some of them are carrying shame, because they know they acted immature. They know they acted out of ego. And they know that you didn't deserve the way they left or the way they treated you. There's also something about them realizing that they underestimated you. They underestimated your strength. They underestimated your ability to detach. Maybe they thought you would always be there. Maybe they thought you would keep reaching out. Maybe they believed you couldn't walk away fully, that you did something they didn't expect. You stopped feeding the chaos. You stopped trying to prove your worth. You stopped trying to convince them of your value. And that shift changed everything. Because when you stop chasing, it forces the other person to face themselves. It forces them to sit in their own silence. And that silence becomes loud when someone truly cares. The Ten of Wands shows them carrying this inside. And I want you to understand something important. Regret doesn't always look like tears and apologies right away. Sometimes regret looks like restlessness. It looks like mood swings. It looks like someone checking your social media but not speaking. It looks like someone wanting to reach out but hesitating. It looks like someone trying to move on but failing because they keep comparing everyone to you. And now the Ace of Cups is showing the emotional turning point. This is the heart opening again. This is not just, I miss you. This is, I understand what I lost. This is the moment where they start to recognize that what they had with you wasn't replaceable. The Ace of Cups carries renewal energy, but it also carries emotional honesty. It asks for sincerity. It asks for vulnerability. It asks for a clean emotional offering. And the reason this is powerful is because it suggests they are not coming back with the same energy. They may still be cautious. They may still be nervous, but they are softer now. They are more aware now. They are more emotionally awake now. The Page of Pentacles confirms the way they want to return. This card does not rush. This card does not storm in with dramatic declarations. It starts small. It builds slowly. It shows someone who wants to rebuild trust step by step. It shows someone who knows they can't demand what they once had. They need to earn it. So when they come back, it may start in a way that looks almost too simple. A message that tests the waters. A casual question. A small apology. A "how are you?" that seems basic, but you have to understand the energy behind it. The Page of Pentacles carries intention. It carries the willingness to invest. It carries the energy of someone trying to correct a past mistake, but doing it carefully because they know you may not be open in the same way anymore. Now I want to talk about the deeper reason behind the sabotage, because this is what makes the whole story make sense. The sabotage wasn't random. It wasn't just them being a bad person. It was their relationship with intimacy. It was their fear of emotional exposure. It was the part of them that panics when something starts to feel real. Some people are addicted to the chase but afraid of the commitment. Some people crave love but fear what love demands. Some people want closeness, but the moment they get it, they feel trapped because they've never learned how to feel safe in intimacy. And I sense that this person has patterns. They may have done this before. They may have ruined good things before. They may have pushed away someone who cared before, because it's easier for them to leave first than to risk being left. That's why their behavior felt confusing, because part of them wanted you deeply, and part of them feared the power of that wanting. The Knight of Cups shows the wanting. The Five of Swords shows the fear response. The Two of Swords shows the denial. The Ten of Wands shows the consequence. And now the Ace of Cups with the Page of Pentacles shows the return attempt. But I also want to hold space for you because your side of this matters just as much. You didn't just lose them. You lost the version of the future you imagined. You lost the potential. You lost the what could have been. And that pain is real. And for many of you, the hardest part was not the ending. It was the way it ended. The lack of closure. The sudden coldness. The silence. The feeling of being punished for caring. And I'm seeing that you've done healing. Even if you still miss them, you've shifted. You are not the same person who waited in confusion. You are not the same person who would accept mixed signals. You are not the same person who would carry someone else's emotional immaturity. And that's why their return feels uncertain for them. Because they can sense you've changed. They can sense you have boundaries now. They can sense you're not as easily accessible. And that makes them nervous, because now they're the one who has something to lose. This is the part where you need to stay grounded. Because when someone returns after sabotage, it can awaken old emotions. It can awaken hope. It can awaken longing. And that's normal. But you also need to stay clear. You need to watch for actions, not just words. The Ace of Cups can be a beautiful offering, but it can also be emotional excitement without stability if someone hasn't truly changed. The Page of Pentacles suggests effort, but you will need to see that effort consistently. You will need to see that they can show up not just when they miss you, but when it requires real emotional responsibility. So the big message here is this: they want you back, but not because they are bored, not because they are lonely, not because they couldn't find better. They want you back because your absence forced clarity. Your silence became a mirror. Your distance became a lesson. And the lesson was painful. They now understand that love is not a game you win. Love is not something you sabotage and then replace. Love is something you nurture, protect, and honor. And it feels like they finally understand that. But understanding is step one. The next step is what matters. I'm sensing that when they return, They will attempt to keep it safe at first. They may approach with a gentle tone. They may test if you're angry. They may try to see if you still care. And depending on your response, their confidence will grow. If you shut them down immediately, they may retreat. If you leave the door slightly open, they will come forward more. But no matter what, they are thinking about you. They are feeling you. They are wrestling with the consequences of losing you. This connection has an unfinished chapter energy, and that's why it keeps circling back into your mind. It doesn't mean you must go back. It means there is a decision point coming, a moment where truth will be spoken, a moment where you will see if this is real change or temporary emotion. And I want you to remember this. You are not responsible for fixing what they broke. They are responsible for showing that they can hold you with care now. You don't have to chase. You don't have to prove. You don't have to lower your standards to make them comfortable. If they truly want you back, they will meet you where you are now, not where you used to be. And that is the power you carry in this situation. The sabotage happened because they didn't know how to handle the depth of the connection. The return is happening because they finally feel the cost of losing it. And now the energy is moving toward communication, toward truth, toward a chance to either rebuild or finally close the door with clarity. So stay present, stay grounded, watch what they do, listen to what they say, and most importantly, listen to what your spirit says when they return. Because you're not just deciding if you miss them. You're deciding if they deserve access to the version of you that you became after the pain. As we close this reading, I want you to take a deep breath and come back to yourself for a moment. Feel your own energy. Feel your own strength. Because no matter what this person decides to do next, no matter how they approach you, the most important thing in this entire situation is you and the growth you've experienced. They may be realizing now what they lost. They may be replaying memories. They may be feeling the weight of their own sabotage and wishing they'd handled things differently. But your power does not lie in whether they return. Your power lies in who you became after they left. You learned how to sit with your own emotions. You learned how to let go without begging. You learned that your love is valuable and that not everyone is ready to receive it properly. That lesson was not easy, but it shaped you. It strengthened you. It refined you. If they come back, it will not be by accident. It will be because clarity finally reached them. It will be because the silence became too loud. It will be because they understand that walking away did not erase the connection. But remember this, an apology is not transformation. Words are not consistency. Emotion is not the same as effort. When they reach out, stay calm. Stay centered. Let them show you who they are now. You don't need to rush your response. You don't need to decide immediately. Observe. Feel. Trust your intuition. The same intuition that guided you to this message will guide you when the moment arrives. And if for some of you they do not return in the way you expect, understand that sometimes clarity comes for you instead. Sometimes the lesson completes itself without a reunion. Sometimes closure is the realization that you deserve someone who doesn't sabotage love when it begins to grow. Either way, you win, because you are no longer the person who accepts confusion. You are no longer the person who tolerates emotional immaturity. You are someone who understands their worth. So as this energy continues to unfold, protect your heart but do not close it. Stay open, but stay wise. Let them meet you at the level you now stand on. Only take what resonated with you from this reading and leave the rest behind. Trust that whatever happens next is aligning you with what is truly meant for you. And remember, if someone truly wants you back, they won't just say it. They will show it.